So every year the village does an annual report looking back on the prior year in this case being 2017, highlighting things that happened as well as accomplishments of the Village of Downers Grove. And this is also sometimes known as the State of the Village Address, which is something that coming on the day after President's Day I think is quite appropriate, because the tradition of a chief executive officer giving a State of the Village or State of the Union or State of the County or State of the State address dates back to George Washington. Although originally the custom was something that was delivered in writing by the chief executive officer, George Washington, and subsequent presidents to the legislature. And years later, it became a verbal tradition. Well, tonight we're going to mix both verbal and written presentation as well as visual interest, and utilizing our amazing whiz-bang video developers here we have at Village Hall, which we'll be touching upon later, to kick off the 2017 annual report, otherwise known as the State of the Village Address, and then I will be sharing some of those highlights with you. But first, let's go to the video, as they say. Now that piece of excellent work is put together by our very own Chris Durlow and Janine Cerulli, and they did a really fabulous job with this video. And in fact, as I'll be talking about a little bit later, some of the videos that they've done for the village on various topics have received recognition through the form of various awards, but we'll touch upon that a little bit later. That's just a teaser. So the 2017 annual report, as I mentioned, highlights the accomplishments and significant measurable results for the last year. The achievements support the village's long-range plan goals, of which fall into roughly 6 different categories. 1, sustainability, but not just sustainability financially, but also sustainability of our environment and our traditions. Number 2, high-quality municipal services. Number 3, economic development, robust economic development. Number 4, infrastructure. Number 5, innovation. And number 6, leadership. These are the general 6 categories that our long-range plan goals fall into. And this year, again, in a new and very impressive way to engage with the community and summarize in a magazine format, you saw it featured in the video. The 2017 annual report actually comes in a magazine format, which is extremely creative, very engaging. It even has little things that fall out, like in a real magazine, each of which highlights an important aspect of some of the services that you get from your community in Village Hall. So I would certainly encourage everyone to pick up the magazine and follow along with what the village has done in 2017. It would be very difficult to go over everything that we've experienced in 2017, so I'm only going to hit some highlights in the State of the Village Address. But one thing I would encourage and always encourage folks to do is, if you go on the village website, there is a category called Top Stories, and it keeps chronologically all the top stories throughout the year. And if you literally follow through that in chronological order, you get a pretty good summary of the major events and accomplishments in the Village of Downers Grove throughout the entire year. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all of them. There are far more than time permits. But I do want to talk about some things. Well, first and foremost, I should advance the slide because I just talked about the magazine. And now let's talk about the Village Council, because the accomplishments in 2017 could not have been done without teamwork. And I want to quote Andrew Carnegie, who said that teamwork is the ability to work together towards a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments towards organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. And I want to thank my colleagues here in the Village Council, Commissioner Jose, Commissioner Waldak, Commissioner Wallace, Commissioner White, Commissioner Earl, and Commissioner Barnett for working together as a team, both as individuals, but for the common collective good of the village and the village organization, along with staff and members of the community. Without all of you working together, we could not accomplish the things that I will highlight today. So I want to recognize my colleagues and thank them for their leadership as well. So let's get right into it then. I mentioned one of the categories of our long-term goals was sustainability. Sustainability, of course, is normally thought of as a financial issue, and 2017 was no different when it came to finances. Well, I'm very proud to say that 2017, the Village of Downers Grove once again maintained a balanced budget. And it may sound like that's not a big deal, but if you look around you at other levels of government, it really is a big deal because the Village is very proud of having a balanced budget every year. Quite frankly, we don't have any choice. We need to have a balanced budget because we need to do things like have our first responders able to provide public safety services, and when the snow falls, we have to plow it. We can't delay because of disagreements that may take place in other forums. 2017 saw the village cut expenses by $1.3 million. Now that's also something you probably don't hear in many other forums, is that we actually reduced expenses. Now why did we reduce expenses? Yes, in large part we had to, because of two things that impacted the village, not uniquely, because this is something that impacts other units of government as well. But number one, a continued reduction in sales tax revenue. The economy is changing, as I'll talk about a little bit later. People are buying things online rather than brick and mortar stores, and so a major component of our revenue stream, sales tax revenue, is something that is suffering, but we are not alone in that regard. The other major impact was the state of Illinois withholding approximately 10% of our share of the state income tax revenue that ordinarily we would get. So we had to do more with less, and I'm very proud to say that with staff's leadership and your support, we were able to do that once again. It is something, as I'll touch upon later, that's very difficult to continue to do, and therefore we're going to have to be innovative in our approaches of doing something different, because it is not going to be feasible to continue to reduce costs to reduce costs in the face of declining revenues. The other thing I want to report in this regard is the village once again received a successful independent audit of its finances with no management letter comments. This is also very important. I remember maybe 10, 15 years ago, there used to be management letter comments, and it's something that we have not experienced for some time, which is a tribute to good, solid financial management and our finance department. Thank you for all their work. In 2017, we refunded the downtown tax increment financing bonds to reduce expenses by over $120,000. Annually. This is something that we take advantage of whenever we can. The village does issue long-term bonds for purposes of doing various projects, such as capital projects. And because of our AAA bond rating, one of the things that we are able to do is take advantage of refinancing these bonds, which reduces the overall cost, meaning that's less public dollars that we have to spend on these projects. So that's always a good thing. And as I mentioned, the village is very proud to have a AAA bond rating, which we retained in 2017. We are one of only 23 municipalities in the state of Illinois that enjoy a AAA bond rating. By comparison, I think the city of Chicago has no bond rating or something like that. So it's something that we work very hard to sustain for the reason I mentioned, is it allows us opportunities to save money on the bonds that we issue for capital projects. Moving right along, we also keep an eye open for opportunities to get grants, to obtain grants in order to pay for some of the things that we do, and 2017 was no different. I just want to touch upon a few grants that we were able to obtain this past year. In total, we received $900,000 in grants that helped us purchase things such as a new Jaws of Life, which if you look at them pictured there, you can appreciate how powerful they are, but also new bulletproof vests for our police officers. It's important that we are vigilant with respect to grant opportunities, because these are your dollars that we want to make sure come back to your community. So we work very hard to identify opportunities to obtain these grants and bring them back to Downers Grove for things such as public safety equipment. Those of you that use the Main Street station probably will recall that it was recently refurbished with respect to the floor. You'll be glad to know that grants help to pay for that new floor in the Main Street train station. The historic Main Street train station, which, as I'll mention a little bit later, is one of our landmark structures here in Downers Grove. And speaking of historic things, those $900,000 of grants that we obtained last year also helped to produce 4 historic preservation brochures. That's a nice transition to another form of sustainability. Financial sustainability is obviously very important for the village of Downers Grove, but we also seek to sustain our rich culture and heritage. As you probably know, Downers Grove's motto is that we preserve the balance between tradition and progress. And we're very proud that the historic landmarking program that has been undertaken in Downers Grove had a landmark year, as they say. 9 structures were landmarked in 2017 alone, bringing the total number of structures now landmarked and receiving that protection in the village of Downers Grove to 20. That is truly terrific. One in particular I have to highlight. 2017 saw the village of Downers Grove voluntarily working with the homeowners landmark Pierce Downers' home. Yes, as you can imagine, prior to 2017, Pierce Downers' home was not protected. And we're very proud to say that now it is. Can you imagine if the namesake of our village's home, historic home, were no longer with us? That would truly be a tragedy. So it's something we're very, very proud of, and we're glad to see that happen. The landmarking program continues apace. You understand there are 2 more homes that are currently in the pipeline for landmarking that will come before the village council soon, and we look forward to that. The success of this program is truly the beneficiary of, and a prime example of, public-private, not-for-profit partnerships. We have to thank both the Friends of the Edwards House for their preservation efforts and helping people realize the importance and the benefits of landmarking. And also our thanks goes out to the Downers Grove Historical Society for their historic home recognition program, which helps people understand why it's important and why it's key for us to celebrate historic preservation in Downers Grove. And the village itself added to that mix by producing a video. You'll hear the video theme is going to be very strong tonight, highlighting the many of Sears catalog homes that the village of Downers Grove enjoys. So we're very proud of that. Let me move on then to economic development in a couple of different ways. First of all, there's an old saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And 2017 saw the village of Downers Grove revisit and update its award-winning comprehensive plan. Why did we revisit it? Because a comprehensive plan is something that should be revisited, and we try to do that every 5 years. And 2017 was approximately when it was time for it to be updated. This council and staff, along with the community, worked very hard to tweak, revise, and update our comprehensive plan, which provides a basis for the vision of our community long term. This one focused on both historic preservation as well as economic development, which, as I'll get to in a moment, is very critical for our long-term sustainability. And in about 5 years, another council perhaps will be revisiting this comprehensive plan and updating it. We definitely want to stay on schedule to do that approximately every 5 years. 2017 saw many economic development wins, a number of which we're very proud of. The first one I want to talk about is the expansion and new building that is being constructed right now over in the Ellsworth Industrial Park by Rexnord. Their new aeronautical engineering headquarters, all 240,000 square feet of it, are currently under construction. This both brings jobs to our community, retains jobs in our community, and also the ancillary benefits of where those employees will shop and where they will dine, also supporting other businesses in our community. Why was this such a significant economic win for the village of Downers Grove, DuPage County, and the state of Illinois? It's because Rexnord was being courted, not just by other communities, but by other states. And the village of Downers Grove was in competition with, for example, the state of Florida, which was providing incentives for Rexnord to relocate there. But Rexnord wanted to stay here in Downers Grove, but we needed to figure out how to make that economically viable for them to do so in the face of such incentives being offered by other states. So the village of Downers Grove versus other states was something you might think we were on the losing end of. But no, we were able to think out of the box and work with our partners at District 58 and District 99 to come up with a package that made it very attractive for Rexnord to stay here and reinvest in Downers Grove, which was such a big economic development win for our area that DuPage County Chairman Dan Cronin, in his State of the County address recently, highlighted the Rexnord project as a win for all of DuPage County. So we are very thankful to our partners at District 99 and District 58 for working with us in order to achieve this significant accomplishment. It's something that we hope to be able to replicate in the future for the benefit of the entire community. A few other economic development projects that we facilitated that I want to highlight really quickly in 2017 was that the Village of Downers Grove approved an agreement that is being undertaken on a project by Vequity, redevelopment, as you may have seen, on the northwest corner of Ogden and Main in Downers Grove. This will be a brand new restaurant and retail center that should be open in August. Yes, we hope. If you will recall, that corner was a little bit challenged, also a gateway to our community, so we're very glad to see that project being undertaken. Needless to say, that was a very challenging agreement, which is a testament to the persistence of our economic development efforts here in Downers Grove, but also the creativity with which we pursue things. I dare say that this may not have worked in some other places at other times, but your village council believes in robust economic development because it is important to grow our base so we don't have to increase our rates. Another great win was Pookie Mazda. We extended an agreement with the Village of Downers Grove to expand and remodel their Mazda dealership. As I mentioned, sales tax is a big part of our revenue stream that supports our operations here at the Village, and the sale of automobiles on Ogden Avenue and elsewhere is an important part of that. So while there are changes in the global macroeconomic environment with respect to purchasing of cars, we still are working very hard to keep those auto sales here in Downers Grove. So agreements like this are very important to maintaining our revenue streams. Similarly, we were also able to attract, through entering into an agreement, a new Lincoln certified pre-owned dealership on Ogden Avenue. And some of you may have been asking about the building that was at 5117 Main Street, which was vacant for a long time. That was owned by the village. Once upon a time was going to be part of the Acadia on the Green development, but it was not included for various reasons at that time. And the village finally sold that building, and we're glad to say it will be the new home, after being restored and remodeled, of the Great Harvest Bread Company. So we're glad to see another new business coming to Downers Grove. As long as we're talking about economic development, I really have to pause here and not only thank our staff, which continues to respond to greater and greater challenges for how to make square pegs fit into round holes when it comes to economic development, but also the Downers Grove Economic Development Corporation. They are an integral part of this process, working with both the community and village staff to make some of these big economic development wins occur. So we're grateful for their participation and their board of directors that really helps move this along. I also mentioned infrastructure as one of our big goals, and 2017 saw continued investment by the village in infrastructure. What do I mean by that? I mean the basics. You can see the things that are made of asphalt, concrete, and iron. I think that was my garage band in high school. That was the name of it. Just kidding. 2017 saw the Village of Downers Grove invest over $10 million in stormwater, street, sidewalk, and water systems. This is something that we need to do every year to maintain our systems. Obviously, we're a community that was founded in 1832. Things that we build eventually have to be replaced, so constant reinvestment on that scale in our community is essential. The village continues to strive to maintain modern infrastructure at the lowest life cycle costs. Municipal services are another thing that I mentioned, along with innovation. And 2017 saw the village continue to find new ways to deliver services to residents by leveraging technology and thinking outside the box and being innovative. A few examples. 2017, the village launched a new Community Resources Center app, because now everything, of course, is done on this. So why wouldn't we want to be there and be responsive to you as well? This new app allows residents to submit and track service requests, receive updates, and make payments from their mobile devices. A new and better way, a more modern way for residents to interact with their village government. It also works for parking. You may recall in the old days, if you had guests that were parking overnight on a street, which is not normally allowed, or you had your driveway resurfaced and you had to park on the street, you had to pick up the phone and call the non-emergency number and tell the police department, please don't ticket me because I need to have overnight parking. Well, no more. Now you can also do that on your smart device. We launched a web-based overnight parking request system, either through your computer or through your phone, that allows residents to obtain overnight on-street parking permission from any mobile device or computer. The village's leadership and innovation is something that we like to celebrate here in Downers Grove because we should. But it's also nice to know that from time to time we receive recognition from outside of the village, both regionally and on a national level. And I just want to touch upon a few of the awards that the village received in 2017 because we should celebrate our accomplishments and our leadership in this regard. We'll go back to finance for a minute. The village once again received the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Award. This is the 5th straight year in a row that the village has received this award. Also, the village received an award for excellence in financial reporting for the 6th straight year. Once again, this is a real testament to our outstanding financial services department here in the village, making sure that we're doing things the way they should be done, and it's really nice to know that that gets recognized by those organizations that know what they're talking about when it comes to government finances. The videos. We've talked about videos tonight. You saw one of the outstanding videos that are produced here in the village by Chris and Janine. The opening video that you saw that featured the Inside DG magazine is done in-house here at the village. And one of the other series of videos that were done recently and received an award in 2017 was, you may recall, the series of videos with respect to the stormwater utility. Back when the village was providing education to residents about what the stormwater utility was, what it was used for, and whether folks wanted to pay for stormwater costs through a stormwater utility or through property taxes. In 2017, the village received a 3CMA Savvy Award for Outstanding Public Education for the Stormwater Utility video series, and well-deserved, I might add. A few others I want to mention. The village also, the American Heart Association Mission Lifeline Gold Status Award was given to our first responders for treatment of heart attack patients. And DUMAG, the DuPage Metropolitan Enforcement Group, presented the Director's Award to Officer Andres Cardenas for wide-scale undercover investigations in 2017. Not to be outdone, the fire department also received an award. Our very own outstanding, amazing Marcia Giesler, everyone knows Marcia, was awarded the Dr. Ann Phillips Award for Leadership in Fire Safety Education, which was presented by the Congressional Fire Services Institute and the International Fire Training Association. Thank you, Marcia, for all that you do. Well-deserved recognition. Back to our police department. The 100 Club of DuPage County presented the Award of Valor. They give one award every year to first responders in DuPage County who have exemplified public service, bravery in a very difficult situation. And this year, 3 of our firefighter paramedics here in Downers Grove, Quinn Triplett, Scott Sohn, and Andy Hoff, received an award of valor from the 100 Club of DuPage County for their brave response in responding to a very deadly house fire. We really appreciate their bravery in that regard. And even though it's not in the slides because he's too modest to do it, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that 2017 also saw our very own village manager, Dave Fieldman, receive the 2017 Governmental Leader of the Year Award from the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference. If you were able to or desired to go back and look at the list of folks who have won this award in the past, you would quickly recognize that it's quite a distinguished honor and well-deserved that Dave would receive that award from his peers in DuPage County. As I mentioned, the village continues to think of new ways to be innovative and reach out and communicate and engage with its residents. We are always looking at new ways to connect. The magazine is just one of them. The video is another one. And it seems like every year we come up with another way to bridge the gap and allow residents to stay up with village news and information and provide new ways to connect our community with their village government. Because as mentioned, it really is a team effort, and we can't do it without you. We're always looking for ways to have you help us help you. So to sort of wrap things up, since this is sometimes known as the State of the Village Address, I always get a question from the media. So, Mayor Tully, what is the state of the village? And it seems like I've been saying the same thing for 7 years, but it's true. The state of the village is strong. We are well poised to take advantage of opportunities, and we are also well positioned to respond and resist challenges that face us. What do I mean by that? Well, Rexnord was an opportunity, and because of relationships that we had built and because of a culture we had developed, we were able to take advantage of that opportunity and beat out entire other states to keep that business here in Downers Grove and see it reinvest in our community. We are well poised to take advantage of other opportunities like that. But we are also well positioned to be resilient in the face of challenges. And as I mentioned earlier, we do face challenges and will continue to face challenges. We haven't increased our property tax levy for operations in 7 years. That's a remarkable feat, but it's not one that is sustainable, and you've heard me say that before. So how we face that year after year after year is going to continue to be a challenge for both this council and future councils. The impact of the state of Illinois on our revenues. I mentioned that last year saw us experience a 10% decrease in a revenue stream that otherwise would have come to this village because of actions of the state of Illinois. We've already heard talk about future challenges to things like our share of the local government distributive fund. That the state, in an effort to try to balance its financial woes, may once again dip back into the pockets of municipalities. We will face that challenge again, and we need to continue to be vigilant, both by ourselves and in conjunction with other municipalities in order to push back against that. I mentioned changes in the economy. Vehicles, for example. The purchasing of vehicles is changing. More and more folks are using ride-sharing services. Autonomous vehicles are starting to appear in towns like Mountain View, California, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Will the sale of cars go away? Of course not, but there will be fewer of them, and that means declining sales tax revenue for municipalities like Downers Grove. As more and more folks shop online and have things delivered by Amazon, for example, the challenge to the brick and mortar stores and big boxes that for many years provided robust revenue streams to municipalities, that's changing. And your village is going to have to change and stay ahead of the curve in order to anticipate those changes. So those challenges face us, plus the fact that every other municipality is facing the same challenges and is heavy, intense competition with the village of Downers Grove for the resources that still remain. So we will face those challenges as well as our to-do list. And we have a number of things still on our to-do list, such as what else can we do to better address stormwater challenges here in Downers Grove? Today is a day where we were all well reminded of what stormwater can do. And our topography here in Downers Grove, as well as our soil content, makes that a big challenge. The village will continue to talk about ways to improve its response to rain events, and I don't mean response in getting out with emergency vehicles, but what can we do to better manage stormwater within our means here in the village of Downers Grove? Infrastructure continues to be a challenge. As mentioned, we do invest heavily in infrastructure, but all things suffer from entropy, and we will continue to have to find sources of revenue to invest in our infrastructure. Economic development will continue to be a challenge for the competitive reasons that I mentioned. And yes, we will eventually have to revisit the topic of facilities, such as what to do with the building that we're sitting in, as well as our police department. So these challenges still face the village, but I know that this council and future councils are well positioned to deal with them in the future, particularly in conjunction with the fine residents of Downers Grove. So we look forward to 2018 and beyond, working with you, the residents of Downers Grove, to continue to tackle all these challenges and take advantage of opportunities. Because once again, it really is all about working together. And I will now quote Henry Ford, who said that coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. The last year has been a success of our working together, and I'm confident that 2018 and beyond will continue to see success if all of us continue to work together. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your rapt attention. That concludes the 2017 annual report, otherwise known as the State of the Village. Thank you.